The Schumer shutdown might be coming to an end. In a surprising turn of events, late last night, 8 Senate Democrats broke with their party in a 60-40 test vote that, if passed, would see the government funded until January 31st through a continuing resolution.
All right, so here we go. We begin with a Fox News alert. The Senate taking a massive step toward reopening the government last night.
Several Democrats voting to break the filibuster on a major procedural vote, but final passage has yet to happen.
Maddie Rivera joins us live in Washington with the details. Maddie, at least we have something different to talk about today.
Yeah, it looks like we could be nearing the end of this shutdown stalemate. We hope. The Senate voted 60-40 to pass the bill overnight, the first step in a series of procedural maneuvers. 8 Democrats joined Republicans to pass the GOP's revised spending package, including Senate Minority Whip Dick Durbin, Senators Tim Kaine, Catherine Cortez Masto, and Jackie Rosen, among others. Senator Rand Paul was the only GOP no vote. The package will fund the government through the end of January, but in a major blow to progressives, it does not include a deal on Obamacare subsidies. It merely guarantees a vote on the tax credits at a future date. Still, the Dems who did vote for the bill say they were able to extract enough concessions to get them to cross party lines, like reversing the firings of furloughed workers.
This is the beginning to show and fight for Americans across the country. Let me just say this. With the government open, we can focus on passing a full bipartisan budget for 2026.
I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement, but waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome.
It was our judgment, after 6 weeks, going on 7 weeks of this shutdown, that path wasn't working.
Anybody who has an understanding of what's going on with the situation in the Senate, it should piss them off, because what it would mean is that the Democrats are agreeing to something that they could have agreed to a month ago without all of the threat to SNAP benefits, the air traffic controllers and government workers not getting paid, and all the mumbo jumbo that we had to deal with over the past month. They're basically agreeing to vote in approval of a continuing resolution that will see the government funded until January 31st. But the previous CR would have saw the government funded until November 21st. So you decided to agree to something that you could have agreed to in October, which would have prevented all this nonsense. Now, after all the pain, suffering, fear, and basically stirring the American people up into a frenzy. This is one of the major issues I have with not only the Democrat Party, but with any political party that plays political games with the people, our ability to feed and provide for our families, all in the name of simply being stubborn. What this all boils down to is the Democrat Party folded their arms and poked their bottom lip out like a little kid who just doesn't want to do something, not because it's wrong. They just don't want to do it because they don't want to do it. And they're willing to inconvenience everyone. And in this case, put people at risk for starvation just because that's the only leverage they feel they have in a negotiation. If this CR passes, what it means is the government will be funded until January 31st. During that time, the Senate Democrats and Republicans will be able to debate and negotiate terms for a permanent funding bill. That's it. It was never about the ACA subsidies, the Obamacare subsidies, not being passed or being continued. It was all about seeing you had a point of leverage. It was all about seeing if you could trick the American people by making them suffer into turning on the Republican Party. And you know what? To an extent, it might have worked to a certain extent. But I personally believe that this is going to do way more damage to the Democrat Party and the party leader, Chuck Schumer, than they ever anticipated.
But if you watch some of the coverage on other mainstream networks, they were upset, including leaders in the Democratic Party. Here's Bernie Sanders. Tonight was a very bad night. Zohran Mamdani, the new socialist mayor of New York, elect, he should be rejected, as should any politics willing to compromise on the basic needs of working people.
But as the mayor, he doesn't get a vote in this. So.
That's right. You got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. People want us to hold the line for a reason. This is not a matter of appealing to a base. It's about people's lives, Brian.
Yeah, Newsom, who he's now playing the role of tough guy. It's hard to know what role he's playing because he changes so much. We saw capitulation and betrayal of working Americans. The American people need more from their leaders, and this is Chuck Schumer. America's in the midst of a Republican-made healthcare crisis, a crisis of so severe, so urgent, and so devastating the American family. Okay, I can't even finish reading this. Here's the thing
Look
about
at Ro Khanna.
Yeah, Ro Khanna, Senator Schumer should go. No longer effective to be replaced. He should be replaced. You can't lead the fight to stop health care premiums from skyrocketing for Americans. What will you fight for? But just real quick, what are you talking about? Obamacare is a thing that it needed emergency funding that was supposed to expire because Joe Biden's program says, we know this is unsustainable, get us through the pandemic, throw money at it, but we're going to expire it. There's a rescue package that we didn't need. So with that going away, how is this Republican health care crisis? Right. Don't say farcical things.
Lord willing, Schumer's shutdown is coming to an end. And if we're really lucky, Chuck Schumer's political career will be coming to an end because as a conservative, just let me tell you, if they primary Schumer and they put one of these woke, radical, extreme leftist candidates that they've been fielding in his place, it's a wrap for the Dems. So the Democrat Party, in my opinion, is in a lose-lose situation. And what this all boils down to is a old, stubborn, washed up Senate minority leader attempting to hold on to power by capitulating to the demands, that what I would call immature demands of a bunch of radical, extreme, leftist members of his party and voters who support them. I don't think it needs to be said that the far left policies just don't work. The socialist policies just aren't going to work. And to use the Affordable Care Act subsidies as an excuse to move forward with a radical socialist agenda is just diabolical, if you ask me. But guess what? You didn't ask me, right? It's absolutely diabolical to hide behind the fears and concerns of rational and logical thinking Americans in an effort to push an agenda filled with policies that those Americans would never support in a million years is crazy. You're going to suffer. Your family's going to starve because Chuck Schumer doesn't want to get primaried, and he has to bend the knee to a bunch of extreme leftists who want to pass legislation that will destroy America. And as they are learning in New York with the recent statements made by New York Governor Kathy Hochul, the moderate Democrats, if there is such a thing, they have let the far lefties know that we will blow smoke up your butt. We'll go to rallies with you. We'll pretend to support you. But when it comes down to passing your ridiculous agenda, when it comes down to implementing socialism, we're going to leave you high and dry, and we're going to turn on you at the drop of a hat. And it wouldn't even be turning on you because we were never really with you. So to me, this is a road to nowhere. And we all know that at some point, these people are going to have to get off the bus and head back in the right direction. It's just a matter of how long normal Americans, logical, rational thinking Americans are going to play along with their delusion. Reminds me a lot of the transgender stuff, how it's almost like in order to keep from getting turned on and ripped to shreds by the mindless mob, you have to entertain the delusion for as long as you can. But eventually, you're going to just have to you're going to stop playing and say, look, you're not a woman, you're a man, or you're not a man, you're a woman. And the fantasy will evaporate into thin air. This is the same exact thing with the socialist policies. Americans are not socialist. Yes, the Affordable Care Act subsidies, they provide, at this point, free health care for millions of Americans. But the Affordable Care Act, or let's call it by its real name, Obamacare, did not do what it was supposed to do. It did not provide low-cost health care for millions of Americans. The prices jumped, increased exponentially, so much so that the government had to start subsidizing the premiums. And like I said before, if that's the case, we might as well have just put all these people on Medicaid. We might as well. I don't know what the government sponsored health care is called in other states, but in California, it's called Medi-Cal. We might as well just put all these people on Medi-Cal. The states might as well have just put everyone who can't afford to pay for health care on the state free health care system, and then the federal government could have simply funded that. Why do you need Obamacare if Obamacare didn't do what it was supposed to do? Now we have to use taxpayer dollars to fund it. That alone is wasteful spending, because that entire apparatus is pulling money from the federal government. So yeah, the Democrats basically held the American people hostage for no reason at all, only to do something that they could have done a month ago, and they made absolutely no progress. The Affordable Care Act subsidies will be discussed again and debated again in December. That is a provision of the continuing resolution. And that continuing resolution will, if passed, fund the American government until January 31st. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching this. Until the next time, peace.